So Man from Toronto has got to be one of the most criminally underrated movies of the decade, as it was just so funny and I was just laughing my head off from start to finish. What is up everybody, welcome back to my channel Lifestyle Critic. I hope you're having a brilliant day. So in this video we are going to be reviewing Netflix's brand new movie Man from Toronto, which is an action comedy movie, and even though this movie got absolutely slated and totally critically panned by a number of different critics, really respectable critics, I personally absolutely loved it. I was laughing my head off at every single thing that Kevin Hart was saying and doing. The guy is an absolute comedy genius and he was just so good. I mean, Woody Harrelson also equally was really great as well, but Kevin Hart absolutely carried this film. And if you just want to feel better about yourself and you just want to have a laugh at slapstick humor, a little bit inspired by Rowan Atkinson's brilliant Mr. Bean character, then you're going to have such a good time with this movie, and I cannot wait to break it down with you in this movie review. So this film introduces us to the lead character Teddy Jackson, who is a struggling fitness entrepreneur, and we are also introduced to the man from Toronto, who is a secret assassin. And one day Teddy gets mistaken for the man from Toronto when he incorrectly arrives at the wrong cabin, and the film then explores all of the chaos and carnage that this hilarious premise leads to. Now, from a positives point of view, like I said, this movie is just so funny. The director said that him and all of the actors were just having such a blast when they were making this movie, and it really does show, as you can just tell that everybody's having such a great time making this film, and in turn the audience is just having an absolute blast. There are also plenty of action sequences in this film, and they are actually really awesome, all with a bit of a comedic edge to them, which makes them really hilarious. And this film does have an undertone of a bit of a mysterious action movie taking place. So, you know, it does have the quintessential twists and turns taking place. Like I said, so many brilliant, massive, explosive sequences as well. And it's just such a fun time in the movies. However, from a negatives point of view, you know, they definitely could have made it a much more of a slicker operation when it does come to all of the espionage stuff, as it definitely does feel comedic over action. And on that point, you know, they could have made the background mission a little bit more cooler. But that being said, I feel like the comedic side more than makes up for the slight lack of action coherence. But I feel like, you know, it is enough for it to be a really enjoyable narrative-driven movie that absolutely kills it, no pun intended, on the humor front. And so from a storyline perspective, I have to say Man from Toronto absolutely delivered. So from a cast and characters point of view, I have to say they have perfectly cast all of the different characters in Man from Toronto. They are just doing such a good job in this film, so let's go through them one by one. So first up, of course, we have the absolutely legendary Kevin Hart, who is just so good as the Teddy Jackson character. And I'm actually really impressed with Kevin Hart for just being such a good sport in terms of playing these unimpressive somewhat characters who literally are, you know, the audience are laughing at this character, and he just carries it off so well. He is just so brilliant. He acts well so well alongside all of the different characters in this film, and the character is actually pretty believable, even though everything that's going on around this character is so exaggerated. I just feel like he just plays it so well, and you can just feel how terrified he is, how out of place he is, and even certain jokes that shouldn't be funny end up being so funny. And I just feel like Kevin Hart just did such a tremendous job, and I just hope that he gets a lot more recognized, as he just did such a good job in this film. Next up we have Woody Harrelson, who plays the man from Toronto, and I thought it was really clever actually how they don't even give this character a name, as he is just so defined by this assassin type of character. And I thought it was really interesting as well actually, as originally Jason Statham was supposed to be playing this character, and he would have been so good playing with really intimidating aspects of this character, but of course this is a bit of a comedic film, and apparently Jason Statham had some creative differences with the production team and so left the project. And I feel like Woody Harrelson is perfectly casted in this film, as he is able to do both the intimidating necessary side of this character as well as the comedic side so well. And he's a really great no-nonsense assassin that's caught up equally in this situation that really has gone upside down from his perspective as well. And actually because of that, the interactions between the man from Toronto and Teddy Jackson is just so good. Next up we have Ellen Barkin, and I thought she was fine in this movie. I mean, she's definitely got so much presence, especially as she is such a well-experienced actress, but I feel like she didn't really find her groove in this film. Of course, she's known so well for her comedic stuff, And in this film, it was only one sequence right at the end that she was being a little bit comedic. Otherwise, she's being really serious. And for some reason, I just didn't click. I mean, it wasn't bad necessarily, but I just feel like it could have been so much better than it was. We've also got Jasmine Mathews in this film playing the Laurie character. She is the wife to Teddy Jackson, and she puts up with a lot in this film. But I actually really like this character, as she doesn't shove it down Teddy's throat like a lot of other wife characters do in other films. So I actually feel like she had so much dignity and so much class. And I feel like Jasmine Mathews and Kevin Hart play off each other so well that actually you can really believe their marital situation. We've also got Kaley Cuoco in this film playing the best friend to the Laurie character. She doesn't really do that much outside of that, but I feel like it was really great to see her in this film. And we've also got Pierson Fodé in this film as well, playing the man from Miami, and I feel like he was really cool in terms of playing a much smoother and slicker assassin than the man from Toronto. And I just love all the little gags that the handler just has so many people from so many different countries at her fingertips. And so from a casting character's point of view, even though some of them could have been a little bit stronger, for the most part, I feel like they were absolutely wicked in this film. So from a visuals perspective, I have to say, Man from Toronto is really solid. It's not as good as the top tier action movies that have been released lately. So for example, The Grey Man had a massive $200 million budget, whereas this one has a relatively modest $95 million budget. And it does look really good. I mean, certain sequences you can tell that they are in front of a green screen, and they could have been a lot stronger if they did have a bigger budget. But that being said, I feel like they do compensate it enough. As like I said, there are plenty of action sequences, and all of them do look really impressive. And on that point, there are so many explosive sequences as well, which is really cool. They just play up and ham up the hilarious aspects within these action sequences, and so they're just so enjoyable, as you don't really take them that seriously. And having a character like Kevin Hart thrown in the middle of all of these is just absolute genius. He is just playing up in all of them so brilliantly. So in equal measures, you're feeling really sorry for this character, and then you're laughing out loud with him and at him, which just works so well. And then you get to also see the life of the rich and famous, as there's so many lavish parties, really nice restaurants as well. And I love all of the interrogation sequences. Obviously, when the man from Toronto is doing his thing, he is incredibly threatening. But then, like I said before, when you have Kevin Hart thrown into this sequence as well, it just makes it even funnier. And as Teddy Jackson is an aspiring, struggling fitness entrepreneur, there are so many videos that he makes, and all of those are just so good. I just feel like Kevin Hart, like I keep complimenting, is just so brilliant and so in his element in all of these comedic sequences. And so from a visuals perspective, they are just absolutely awesome in this film. So from a comparisons point of view, there are so many comedic action movies that have been released lately, and I feel like Man from Toronto is such a wicked addition to these. So for example, it's really similar to The Hitman's Bodyguard, to The Expendables, and from a Sony point of view, you can really feel that they are creating a bit of a name for themselves, as it is really similar to Jumanji, to Bullet Train, and to Uncharted as well. And speaking of Uncharted, I feel like they must have filmed it in the exact same way as the brilliant sequence of the plane with Tom Holland's character, Nathan Drake, just falling out of it and having these brilliant sequences taking place. There is a somewhat similar one in this film as well. It's not as expensively made as Red Notice or Grey Man, but similarly to those movies, and like I said, to all of these movies, I feel like they balance action and comedy together really well. So overall, I absolutely loved Man from Toronto, so much better than I thought it would be. I was a little bit apprehensive going into this film, given all of the negative backlash that came from it. But actually, I had the exact opposite experience, as I absolutely loved it and was laughing my head off from start to finish. I feel like all of the characters were just so good and so compelling. But of course, Kevin Hart just absolutely smashed it and owned it in this movie. I do hope that they do make a sequel. The director has teased that he has got plans for them, as it would be really cool to see these two characters together in the future, and just to get up to more chaos and mischief. I mean, it has been viewed really highly. It was #1 across the world, but who knows given the backlash, but I'm really hopeful that it does happen. But anyway, as far as the first movie goes, I'm going to give it a solid 7 out of 10. And I would love to hear what you thought of this movie, so please let me know in the comment section below. Otherwise, I look forward to seeing you in my next video.